The world of offshore cruising is a demanding one, and the crew from SV Prism is here to show you how their favorite products perform. Non-biased reviews from real cruisers. That's what Prism Reviews is all about.
After filling Prism up with water, we returned to the anchorage in Port Washington, New York to test the 50-pound Quickset at 10-to-1 scope, to give the anchor an apples-to-apples chance to prove itself against the 55-pound spade. 10-to-1 may seem extreme, but in super soft substrates like the one found in this bay, the spade even requires this much scope. If the anchorage does not allow 10-to-1 for room requirements, we will generally reduce scope to 5-to-1, but we are aware at this scope the anchor may not reset well. Therefore, if room allows, we will leave the boat at 10-to-1.
We are prepped with something else today too. I made a little rig here to hopefully film this thing digging in, and let's see if we can put it on without losing it. Hold on, neutral. I'm gonna try it again here. Oh, my thing just broke off. No! I'm gonna have to go retrieve that. Shannon makes a good point that we already know that the visibility really sucks in this bay. So the chances of us actually seeing anything is probably next to nothing. So we're going to punt on that idea and just do the 12-to-1 shock load test. That's what the spade requires in order to set. So we're gonna try that. It's picking up, but my mic's gonna be totally useless in this, but it's 50. It's 100 feet. That's 150. Again, this is, what's the depth right now?
15.
15 feet, okay. So it's we're at a little higher tide than we were last time doing this. That really isn't the easiest thing to do. All right. Okay, so that's 150 out. Go ahead, nice, just idle reverse back now. Okay, bring up RPMs. Yeah, keep going to up in RPMs. No movement. Still no movement. Seems like we got a really good set. We are starting to move. We're starting to move, yeah.
What?
We're starting to move, yeah.
You want to keep doing it?
Yeah, keep on this, yeah.
I'm at 1800 RPM.
Okay. So she's at 1800, which is about almost as much as we can go in reverse with this pitch of prop. I mean, it's a lot of thrust still, but yeah, we're moving. Okay, stop that. We're gonna do retrieval, Shan, and we're gonna give it one more try.
Okay.
Shannon has said that she is not impressed. So just for the record, the spade will set like that every time. If you give it that much scope, even in these kind of cruddy conditions, it will. That, I was really hoping that it would just suck in, and I mean, even when we do the spade with shock load, you can test like that, it'll stay set. So that's not looking good. That's definitely a point off. It's been basically the same so far. That's the first time it's very, you know, or I should say, this is a moment where the spade is actually definitely outperforming this anchor. It's really in there. I mean, it's not wanting to break out very well. I'd say this is dug in, I mean, it's about as much as the spade was. Yeah, it tried to dig in. Pretty impressive. There's the mud, so it definitely was penetrating. Whether or not it was, obviously couldn't penetrate deep enough, or just not enough surface area. Yeah, we're up. Yes. Pretty dirty. Nothing fouled on it. I've got the anchor GoPro rig set up. Let's see if it works or not. I'm not quite sure, but hopefully that'll. I'm using actual line now, not fishing line, which probably was part of my issue. I was trying to go with something more transparent, but the fishing line I was using was really old and was out in the sun for a long time, so it's probably not good anymore. Aggressive. Real aggressive. It looks like it is holding true, so we're gonna go for it. Okay. Neutral? Yeah, you're not making it. About 15 feet. All right, Shan, why don't you, once you think you can straighten her out, let's try to give her a nice pull. No movement. Bring it up a little more. Slight movement. Has she released? I'm not sure. Does not look like it. She's holding that. Yeah, she's going back now. All right, neutral. Come up on it about 25 feet, please. So it passed that test, really good. That's good. That's what we wanted to see the first time, but it didn't happen. But you know, give it a second try. So we're gonna go up by about 50. That's good, 50 feet. And now reverse, keep it as straight as you can. So this is the shock load. About 50 feet up, and we're gonna see if we can blow her out. The spade does generally pass this test. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. It's gonna come to a stop right about here. Whoa. Oh no, definitely got her to pull out. Will she grab again though? Is the question. Definitely blew her out. But it looks like she reset. She blew out, but she reset. She blew out, but she reset. We lost about 20 feet there. It looks like 15, 20 feet. That's good. That's real good. I like that she reset. All right, let's do it one more time, Shan. Come up on her. Let's see if she set even harder this time. So go on up. So we lost about 15, 20 feet there, but not bad. I mean, the fact that she reset is a really good thing. I like that. That's big. That's about good there. And again, we're really putting it through its paces here in this soft mud. This is like having I'm guessing 50, 60 knot gust just blast the shit out of your boat. This is what we're trying to replicate. All right, whenever you're ready. So we're going, now we've gone about 50, 60, 75 feet up now, so fairly far up on this one. This is going to be a hell of a shock load on this. This is a good test of all your gear too, by the way. Bridle and everything. She's got good speed. She's going back by about 2 or 3 knots this time. Neutral! We're going really fast. You were probably going 3 or 4 knots. I don't want to. I know, but we were just further up this time. We just had more of a distance to pull. Go ahead and put it in reverse. Let's see if she held. I know she blew out a little bit again, but let's see if she. I'm referencing this sailboat to that house. Okay, she set again there. Neutral. One more shock load for me. Okay, one last time. One last go. What's that? Okay, perfect. One last go at this. I have a good reference on sailboat to mooring. She should start grabbing right about now. And she held that one. That one was not nearly as violent as we did it before, but that's pretty good. All right, well shit, I think that's pretty good, man. All right, neutral. Oh yeah. Oh, the camera went in. It went in the mud.
Oh yeah?
It's just... No, I mean, that's how far it dove down. It dove down at least 3 feet. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, well, that is the testing that we did here on Prism for the Kingston Quickset 50. And what do we make of all of that? Well, I mean, basically, I have my own formula how I want to test this anchor, and basically, from what I can pick up from this is that the anchor has its strong points, but it's still just not as strong in soft mud, which is really what this testing started with, because we have to remember what the origin for finding a new anchor was, and the origin was to find a better anchor suited for the soft mud of the Chesapeake and these rivers and these sounds of the East Coast than the spade. And in that case, I do not think it's as strong of an anchor in those exact substrates as a spade is. Does it have kind of the fatal flaw of the spade that if it gets blown out from the other direction after you set it really well, and does it mud foul? I don't think it would. So in that sense, it's probably better if you're in a very fluctuant tidal area, or if you think you're gonna have heavy winds where that anchor is gonna have enough pull to actually reset the other direction. The spade has a bad tendency that it basically will get clung up on the stronger mud that it's actually penetrated down into and got a good set in. A lot of times it holds onto that in its big fluke, and it can basically become a giant mud weight at that point and not reset. But I will say, for initial setting and a single directional pull, the spade seems to be superior than the Kingston. Just quite frankly the Kingston just a lot of times would just not, it never got to the point where it's set and it just didn't move anymore. There was always a slight creep to it. And I think that's just inherent in that design too. I think those plow type anchors are indeed plow. They seem to stay engaged in the bottom, but they might not actually stop. I just don't think that is part of that design criteria on that anchor, is that it's in its heart, it is a plow anchor, and it might have a lot more resistance the deeper it goes, but it might not ever stop. It might just continue to plow, where the spade and these concave anchors really kind of set up shop. When they finally get a good set, or when they do, generally speaking, they can just really hold a singular position really well and have almost no creep at all. So there's something to be said about that. I think this anchor would perform much better in a more in a harder substrate, and when it comes to sand and other substrates other than this really gooey soft mud. And there's actually a lot of evidence to back that up. Again, I'm going to forward you guys to another YouTube channel called SV Panape. Steve there has done numerous, he has probably the most extensive background in anchor testing, and he has a lot of great different testing grounds that he puts his anchors through. And he actually just got a Quickset from Kingston, and he put it through all the same rigors that he does his other anchors, and it kind of came out a little bit above average and like a little bit above the middle of the pack, which is kind of where I would put this in my head too. I don't think it's it doesn't do anything exceptionally well, but it does a few things. It does kind of everything just all, fine. And, for a general purpose anchor, or people that are in more controlled environments, or maybe don't go and then don't live on their anchor full time, that's probably totally adequate for 99% of people. And for the point these come in at for a stainless steel anchor, it is by far its performance was not, it was, I think, just one level below a spade. I mean, that's excellent performance still. It blew a lot of much more expensive anchors, especially stainless anchors. It rated better in his test results. So I think that has a lot to be said for the price point this anchor comes in. I think it offers a lot of bang for buck, and I still hold true to that. Speaking of price, I do not think I would go with the polished version by any means. Basically, and Steve said the same thing on his test, that after a few sets of this anchor, it basically becomes a brushed finish anyway, so you might as well just save your money and buy the commercial finish, because I don't think, they both end up looking like that after a few sets anyways, and the commercial finish is much less expensive. Will we be switching to the Quickset 50? I don't think so. I think this was a great opportunity to test a different type of anchor, just because really the only experience we have is with an old CQR and a spade, and it was nice to kind of see what else was out there and kind of get just a good baseline of how other things perform. Again, if we were in the tropics or we were in sand, we'd probably have a much harder time seeing any difference between them at all. And in that case, it might be a great proposition to go with the Kingston over the Spade, just because it's a cheaper anchor and it's stainless steel, so you don't have that bad corrosion issue that the Spade absolutely does have. But will we be changing to it? No, I'm still actively searching for an anchor that performs better in soft mud. A couple that come to mind, again, we are really limited with our boat because we have a bobstay that goes to the end of our bowsprit here, so the anchor has to be narrow enough to clear that, as well as it can't have a roll bar because the anchor roller is built into our bowsprit, so it has to kind of suck up into it. So that really cuts out a lot of good anchors. There are many anchors that could just easily fit that bill, I think, and perform better than the Spade, but they just physically won't fit our boat. Or if they did, there'd be some heavy compromises on storage of those anchors. The Mantis M2 comes to mind immediately. That anchor does not have a roll bar, but it is tremendously wider than any other anchor. Our Spade, just to give it for instance, the 55-pound Mantis M2, I believe, is 23 inches wide, tip to tip width, and our Spade is 17.5 or 17.75. So it's tremendously wider, and I do not think it would pass our bobstay. I just think it would get caught up on it. So that anchor's kind of out. The Sarka XL is definitely high on my list, and I'd love to try one of those out because I just heard really good things, and Steve's tests kind of show that anchor has a lot of potential. And then also the Ultra anchor, the more we have just swapped out our chain to new chain, the more I'm learning about putting stainless inside the chain solution here and having it kind of eat away the galvanization quickly, the less excited I am to go with a stainless steel product, just because chain is kind of cumbersome and expensive and kind of hard to get really good chain. We had to kind of go through a bunch of hoops to get the chain that we wanted to replace our old chain with. And so I am kind of the mentality that the chain costs as much as the anchor too, and anchors are just a lot easier to get. You can ship a 50-pound anchor much easier than you can ship 400 pounds of chain. And again, sourcing good chain in remote parts of the world, it can be very difficult. So I kind of have switched my thoughts on, versus having an anchor that will stay good forever, maybe the anchor should be more of a swappable part where the chain, try to eke as much life out of the chain as possible. But that might change again. I mean, I just know that there's been, since we've kind of carved out the stainless steel components out of our ground tackle, the chain galvanization, even on the old chain, seemed to hold up much better in this last 6 months. So we'll see if there's any credibility to that. Right now I have no stainless except for the Devil's Claw, which the Mantis chain hook, but that's at the surface up here. Ideally, they could make one of those out of galvanized too. I mean, but they're very into stainless, so I doubt that would ever happen. But anyways, I kind of went through a stainless steel spell of thinking stainless steel was the ultimate material for anchors, but Steve on Panapay have pointed out many hindrances or negatives that stainless steel provides when it comes to making an anchor out of stainless steel. Would the Quickset 50 be a great, it's right next to my leg right here as a secondary. It's a great secondary because it is stainless steel. It doesn't rust everywhere, where the Spade, if I had it in a flip situation where it just was on the foredeck up here, I mean, it would just be a pile of rust by now, and it would be a total mess. The only thing saving the Spade right now is that it's encapsulated in mud every night and basically starved with oxygen, so it stays all right. But without that, I think the Spade, it's sheeting steel quite quickly. So am I going to swap to the Kingston from the Spade? No, but we definitely need to do something about the Spade in the upcoming months. Another thing that people ask is, why am I only testing the anchor, the Quickset that way? Why does that test mean so much to me? Basically, the testing procedure for me was it needed to accomplish that test. It needed to pass that test first before moving on to any other testing. If it cannot at least produce the holding power that I can get out of the Spade in the same scope, then there's no reason to move on to any other tests for me personally, because that to me is kind of paramount. It has to hold at least as high as the Spade. If it can't do that, then really nothing else matters. Ideally, I can find an anchor that will produce at least the same amount of holding for those shock loads. And a lot of people say, well, what? Those shock loads seem insane. Not really. If you live on the East Coast or have sailed the East Coast a long time, you know that the thunderstorms here can be extreme. And getting a random thunderstorm from a totally different direction, blasting you at 60, 70 knots is not unheard of. And that, to me, is the best analog of that type of testing that I can produce personally. And so if it can't pass that, then I really have no interest in relying on the anchor, especially when no one's on the boat. If we're out hiking or going to the grocery store, we have to be able to be sure that, or at least more confident, that the anchor will hold. And like I've said, the Spade is not flawless in that situation at all. We've had many a times where it has, if the wind has come from a different direction hard and it actually blows out the anchor, it will not reset and you just drag. And that's not a great thing, but I've learned if you can dive it hard enough and dig it in deep enough that it's so buried, it just has to get, it has a better time of staying engaged. It will not blow out. And so that's kind of the strategy we've been using with our current anchor. But that's the reason why that protocol is in place of anchoring or of testing that way. This was never supposed to be, is this a good anchor in all these different substrates? This was really, is it better than the Spade? And in this case, no, it's not. In ultimate holding power in soft mud, the Spade is better. My final conclusion on the Quickset 50 is it's a great buy for someone that wants a stainless steel anchor. Again, if you have a boat that maybe that you're not on the hook 24/7 and it's going to sit out in the elements a lot, stainless steel is kind of hard to beat in that sense. And the price of this anchor is excellent. Again, I would go with the commercial finish, not the polished, unless you just really want that. But I don't think you're gaining much if you use the anchor at all, because it basically mats out after the first couple of sets. I think the company itself has been great, and I'm very appreciative of Kingston sending me this anchor to test. It does not fill the void of what I was trying to fill with a replacement anchor for the Spade. It does fit is it more durable than the Spade? Probably yes. The shank thick, the stainless steel is a weaker or softer metal in its essence, but it's built up to a point where I don't think it would be an issue for our size boat and the loads that we would be putting on it. But does it have ultimate more holding power than the Spade? I don't think so. And I think the Spade would probably have more holding power in most substrates. Steve did a great job on the 50 on his test. He has a great rig that shows ultimate hold, and it pulled over 4,900 pounds in sandy mud, which is still not the strongest holding. 4,900 pounds from a 50-pound anchor is nothing to slough at. That's an impressive number, and the other more modern anchors were right around that same number. So it can do impressive things. I am not denying that, but for the exact application that I was trying to make it fulfill, it's not doing it as well as the Spade. It's as clear, and I'm all about performance. It can look pretty. It's nice that it doesn't corrode in the sense that how mild steel does, but it did not fulfill what I was trying to do at the beginning, and it's to find a replacement for the Spade. I don't want an anchor that is only good in certain areas, which again, this might be it might be an impossible task for what I'm trying to do here, and a lot of people have told me that. They're like, John, you can't get an anchor that's good on every single thing, and in every single bottom, and that might be correct, but the Spade was so far really pretty close to having that formula pretty much dialed in. Shannon made a good point. We are not professional anchor testers, and through this experience, it's been a kind of an eye-opening experience of how much work is involved in doing anchor testing. Our boat's not really quite set up for it either. Like the rig that Steve has on his aluminum boat is by far way preferred than doing it all on a bowsprit and only being able to use reverse. Again, I'm going to push you heavily toward, if you want to nerd out heavily on anchors, I'm going to push you towards Steve's channel. It's excellent, and there's just a lot of information to take in, and every anchor on the market pretty much he has and he's tested, and he has a great spreadsheet kind of comparing them all, and I think because he has such a large, a plethora of different places that he's tested these anchors in. I think if you want the most conclusive amount of information on is this anchor A or B better than this anchor, Steve's the guy to look at, and his videos are very concise and to the point. They're definitely not like this. This is kind of long form and very opinionated in the sense of there might be another way to test this anchor that's better, and my deploying method might not be perfect or whatever, but this is how we do things, and this was supposed to be a versus test, not a extensive test of just one anchor. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Trust me, there's not a lot more anchor reviews coming along, because again, Shannon didn't really enjoy any part of this, but I did, and I hope you did too. We have a lot more testing of other products in the lineup, and we've already filmed a few, so I'll be getting those out as soon as possible. And if you enjoyed this content, please share it or leave a comment and tell me what you think. And until next time, fair winds and falling seas.